all of a sudden they say to themselves, like, I have to be 100% dialed in all the time. Like, no bites of ice cream, forget even ice cream. People are just like, oh no, deli meat all of a sudden, I can't eat that. I've got to.
Or I'm going to wake up early and I'm going to meditate and I'm going to, make my bed and I'm going to do this and I'm going to go to the gym. How about we actually don't snooze our alarm?
Yeah.
Just let that be the goal, right? Because we're biting off more than we can chew.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back, strong, well-fed, outspoken. We got a doozy for you guys today, but first, if you guys are brand new here or not, welcome to the intro section. As of last episode, I decided that I'm changing my intro. So at this point, I am one of the dynamic duo. My name is Rusty.
And that's really throwing me off because this used to be a long number. What's up, guys? I'm Coach Nell. I am the other half of that duo. And we love to be honest with you, get a little chaotic, laugh, wear hoop earrings, and have big, crazy hair. So if you like any of those things, I think you're in the right place.
Your hair's cute today. If you guys aren't watching, Nell has like this little space buns, but also like her hair's down. I feel like I've seen you like obviously hair down and space buns, but never both together.
Yeah. Yeah, I am. So if you guys have been a follower of ours for a while, you guys know I was recently diagnosed with celiac, which is an autoimmune disease. And part of that process for me was all of my hair falling out.
Yeah, it is crazy.
So, yeah, I'm just getting back to the point where like hormonally, I'm in a better place. Nutritionally, I am able to absorb things better. And so my hair is coming back to life a little bit. I felt like it wasn't growing for a while, which actually I think you kind of ran into when your health kind of took a turn. Was your hair kind of stopped doing what hair is supposed to do?
Yeah. You won't be able to tell now because my hair is like legit tied up. But yeah,
which is weird. You never have your hair up.
I know. That's how you know. It's like raining here on the island. We're having like the craziest weather. We flooded again overnight last night, and there's a flood warning again, and like this just happened 5 days ago, so it's nuts. We're on the like west side, which is technically the drier side, and we're up in the valley, so we're okay, but like the damage that's been done just last night alone in some areas, man, I'm like praying for these people. It's not good. So we're actually, Nell and I are recording kind of spontaneously today because
we weren't even going to record this week because if you guys don't know this, it's actually Rusty's birthday week. Now, when you talk about celebrating your birthday in terms of food, it's a birthday. But in my world, it is a birth week, a birth month. So shout out happy birthday to my co-host, Rusty.
Yeah, thank you, girl. Yeah, I'm totally of the mindset. I'm like, I want to celebrate all week. So it's definitely put like a little bit of a, but I said to Steph, because usually I feel like I celebrate like leading up to, I'm like, we're celibrating afterwards now.
When you're not rained out.
Yeah. Actually, I wanted to say to you about the celiacs and whatnot, because even actually with my own health stuff, and my stuff was like improving my thyroid, which as you guys might or might not know, thyroid can definitely play into hair loss or just like hair not growing. And so one thing that I've actually been considering doing is actually going gluten-free for the next like 3 months, because there's such a correlation between, I can't say that that makes it sound like 100%. There's studies that show there can be a correlation between gluten and thyroid, especially if you are like low thyroid or Hashimoto's.
Yeah, and you're more likely to struggle with one of like another thing if you have issues with something already, like thyroid or any autoimmune disease. Here's where people go wrong, though. A lot of people think, I need to go gluten-free to lose weight.
Yeah.
And that is not inherently correct. In fact, most gluten-free items are actually higher in calories.
Yeah.
But if you are dealing with like high inflammation, like joint pain, things like that, really poor skin health, then yes, absolutely eliminating gluten from your diet can be beneficial. I will say, though, having had to walk down this path, you're going to be shocked at where it is. And unless you like medically do have to eat this way, you're probably still eating gluten, and reducing it will improve your diet.
Yes. So it's crazy because just this past week thinking about doing it, I started just looking at some of the things, because I was saying to Steph, I'm like, I really don't eat much gluten, right? And you're thinking about like,
and I thought that too when I got diagnosed. I was like, why am I reading so high in my blood work?
Yeah. And I just started looking in the cabinets for fun, and I was like, what? I'm like, this has gluten in it. I'm like,
and also you have to, this is not our topic at all for today, but we're here now. we think like gluten is in wheat, right? So we look for
Yeah.
wheat, but it's also barley, rye,
Yeah.
quinoa. Like it's a
Which
lot of
is,
these ancient grains that we don't think about. So if you're like,
yeah.
oh, I love salt and vinegar chips, if it's malt
Eh,
vinegar, it's got gluten in it, baby.
yeah. Yeah. It's crazy. Like, I think maybe now people know this more, but a lot of people for a long time didn't even realize like soy sauce.
Yeah, that was a
That's
big
got
one for
gluten.
me. And I
Yeah.
had told my mother-in-law, probably like 8 years ago, I think I'm allergic to salmon because we would always have salmon at her house and I would be violently ill. And I'm like,
Oh,
no, we
you
always had
did
it with
soy
quinoa.
sauce.
And it
Yeah.
wasn't until now that I was like, I can eat salmon in other capacities. Why
Yeah.
does it not bother me? Because I just doubled down on the gluten in that meal.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Well, I remember because I was still your coach at the time when you were going through this, and I had
Yes.
said, I'm like, I think you might have a gluten thing, and you were
And
like,
I was
nah,
denial big time.
nah.
But the thing is, so I had already been tested for a wheat allergy because my brother has a wheat
Yeah,
allergy.
yeah,
And in my mind, I was like, well, wheat and gluten go hand in hand, so there can't possibly be that. But
yeah.
there was a lot more nuance to it.
So to be honest,
And
actually, on
go
that
ahead.
note, like when I first brought it up, or you first started seeing signs, were you still in the mindset of like, I could just have this or this or this, anyways?
Mm, I don't want to say yes, but I also don't want to say no because I
Yeah,
really did think I was in a low gluten diet to begin with.
yeah, yeah,
And I really didn't think I had that much to cut out. Plot twist, I obviously did. And you can actually have the genetic markers for an autoimmune disease and live your entire life without it. But it's when you
yeah. Be
experience like a
asymptomatic.
trauma or something that's going to kind of like wake up that issue. So
Yeah,
I could have potentially had this for years and years. And it wasn't until something in my life happened where my body was like, it's go time, baby.
yeah,
So I
yeah.
think that's probably for me what happened because, like, I'm not young, and lots of people
No.
that are diagnosed with celiac disease are diagnosed very young. And I'm the
Yeah,
first person in my family, and everyone was like, "So this is a genetic thing. Like, who else in your family has it?" And like, just
no.
me at this point.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, it is interesting. You bring up a good point because that actually, I was just talking to like a wow words. I was just talking to a like deep like nutritionist, and we were talking about how for a lot of people they can have like the markers of being like hypothyroid or Hashimoto's, but it
Yes,
never actually comes about until something happens. And for like a lot of people who did take like the COVID shot, it wound up being the trauma internally
it's
that
putting
like
stress on the
triggered that.
body. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So it's very interesting. But I was curious if you fell into that mindset with the soy sauce because today's topic, you guys, is the mental trap that's actually like keeping you guys stuck. So actually
Mm.
let me start with a question, right? When you guys and whenever we do this, like we might ask each other, but we always want you guys as if we're asking you guys the question. So
Yeah, we want this to be a conversation, obviously, because that's more
yeah.
entertaining to listen to than a lecture. At least in my opinion, I would rather listen to people talk than get
Yeah.
lectured at.
But
But the reality is, we want you to answer these questions too.
exactly. So when you guys think about your health goals, whatever your health goals are right now, do you often find yourself like asking yourself, what is it that I need to do? Or are you asking yourself, what is it that I can get away with?
I've
Because,
notoriously asked what I can get away with.
oh, all the
Even I
time.
remember
I do it all the
before my
time.
health issues, when we were working together,
Yep.
we were working on a deficit, and usually I have no issues gaining weight, losing weight, being pretty locked in.
Yep.
But we got to a point where I wasn't seeing a lot of changes, and I was like, "How long do I need to do this for?" Because I
Yeah.
was falling into that, right? Like, oh, like I like the way I look now; it's good enough, right?
Yes, yes, yeah. And sometimes that is the mentality. Like, what can I get away with? Because, like, do I even really want to like push my body now? Or, like, first of all, if you are in a position where you're like, I actually like how I look right now, then like maybe you should let off the gas a little bit. But
Absolutely.
also, are you just convincing yourself that this is good enough so that you don't have to do more? That could be one
Yes.
thing that you're
Or
doing, right?
you've started with a goal and you kind of got to that goal and then that goal has passed. And
Yeah,
so then you don't really have the next goal and you keep telling yourself, no, I still want what I was working
yeah,
towards. I
hmm,
see this a
yeah,
lot because, to be real, a lot of people hire coaches before an event, right? They want to feel their best for a
yep,
wedding or something like that, right? And there's
yep,
nothing wrong with that. It's a great tool to use for a timeline. But then they're like, this is actually helping me. I feel better. I'm going to keep working with my coach. but that event has passed. You've kind of
Yeah.
hit that goal. And then we shift away and we
Yeah.
start to see changes that maybe we're struggling with because
Yeah.
we feel like we're putting the same level of effort in.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So, these are some ways that you could be doing this, but on a smaller context, okay? In the day to day, you say to yourself, no, you know what, those things don't apply to me. I do really want to achieve something with my physique. I'm not working toward an event, whatever it is. Are you still living in the mindset of what do I need to do or what can I get away with?
Yeah,
So,
what
this
can I get away with? What's like good enough a lot of the time,
exactly.
right?
Yeah. So, like for some of us, that might sound like, can I skip my steps today? Do I really have to hit 8,000 steps today? Or is 3,000 good enough? That won't matter much, right?
Especially if you've already put some level of physical effort in. Oh, I shoveled snow.
Yeah.
I went to the gym.
Yep.
I'm going to do jujitsu later.
Yeah.
Do I
Yeah.
really need to hit my step goal?
Yeah. Can I go out and eat one more time this week? Can I? Like, well, that's okay, right? I'll just be better tomorrow. I'll just cut out more food tomorrow. That's a big mental trap for why a lot of people tend to eat less the next day, is
Mhm.
because they are, again, asking themselves, what can I get away with? Can I eat more today and I'll just eat less tomorrow? What if I miss my workout today and just go harder tomorrow?
Yeah,
Will
the
it
number of
really?
times as a coach I've been asked, "Hey, can I just do my workouts back to back?" And I
Yeah.
almost
No,
exclusively
baby.
say no. Like
Yes.
unless you're an elite level athlete and I know you have a capacity, I don't
Yeah.
want that for you. You're
Yeah.
just going to end up worse off.
Yeah. Yeah. Or, even on the context of like you did decide and you allotted, you accounted for the fact that you want to have some pizza tonight. You have the amount that you not classified, but you like, accounted for.
Pre-prepared to have, yeah.
Exactly. Thank you. And all of a sudden you're like, will it really matter if I just
What's
have
one
the
more
last two
piece?
slices? Yeah. Like, will it really matter? You're
Or
living
you're
in.
cooking your own food and you're like, I portioned it out, but
Yep.
there's a weird amount left. I should just eat it.
Yeah.
That
And
I
taking
do
out
that
the
all the
last.
time. That
Oh, yeah.
was such a hard thing for me to break.
Yes, 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 yes. It's so true, right? You're eating off your kid's plate. Ah, it's just one bite of chicken nugget. You're living in the mindset. And here's the thing, guys, we're not saying any of this to make you feel bad. That is never, never, never our goal. But
No,
we
and
are
everything we've
always,
ever talked about on these lists are probably something that you or I or someone we've coached has done. That's where
yeah,
these lists come from. It's not that we've Googled what are people's struggles. It's like, what did we
yeah.
mess up? What are we still messing up?
Yeah, totally. And the thing is, as Nell said, even at the beginning of this episode, like we're always here to keep it real. And being real means being honest and being kind. And kindness is not niceness; it's
Nope.
the raw, honest truth. So we are asking you guys this because it is honestly one of the biggest reasons why people stay stuck.
Mhm.
The problem isn't your calories; it's not your workouts; it's not your carbs. It's this mindset of constantly asking yourself, basically, like what can I get away with? What do I not have to do to still try and get results?
Yeah.
So let's call it what it is. That is self sabotage.
Yeah, a coach I've worked with for many years in the past, like we work in the same sort of network. He used to say the margins matter. And I never really
Yeah.
understood this as a young coach because I was successful, following the plan. But the reality was I had a lot to lose. Like, right. And when I say lose, I mean, I was very overweight. And
Yeah.
so the fact that I was making these little changes really stacked up. But then I got to a capacity where it felt a little bit stagnant. And that's when those like little margins really, really mattered.
Yeah.
And it's when our margins get bigger and bigger and bigger that we stop seeing the progress that a lot of the time we crave. Or
Yes.
we start to wonder, like, why isn't what I used to do working?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And that's the thing. It's the kind of self-sabotage that's not obvious, right? It's subtle because it's a kind of self-sabotage where you're technically still trying, but you're constantly like negotiating with
Yeah.
yourself. You're always looking for a shortcut or a loophole, excuse me. um, and the thing is, this kind of self-sabotage, in my experience, usually comes from doing something you don't actually want to be doing.
Yeah.
right? So you're stuck in this loop, and like I've been there, right? So like I used to follow all of the extreme diets back in the day, even coaches I would hire for one-on-one. Like I would choose the hardest route, the things that I didn't want to do, the most restriction, whether it's meal plans, cutting out foods that I love, just like always this mindset of trying to be perfect. And so of course I lived with this, also this mindset of like, what can I get away with? What can I
Mhm.
sneak in? Because I was unhappy. I was miserable. Trying to follow something that leaves you feeling miserable, that leaves you feeling like, as much as I love that, what that person had said about being in the margins, sometimes we do also need to purposely plan for margins in terms of like, this is what I'm following, and now here's my margin to be a human being, to have the things that I enjoy. And
Yeah, instead of them being completely taboo, which is what happens when you're leaning into those really extreme things, right? If you have a
yep,
meal plan that's chicken, broccoli, and rice, been there, that sucked. It
yep,
it almost felt like I had a little secret if I
yeah,
didn't do something. Or like you go to the dentist and they're like, "Hey, have you been flossing your teeth?" And you're like, "Yeah, of course I did."
yeah,
That's what
yeah,
you're
yeah.
doing to yourself in a lot of these situations, right? It's you mentally want to be doing better, potentially you're being accountable to someone, but then there's these little things that keep creeping in that are sabotaging the process.
Yeah, yeah. If you guys hate what you are doing, when I hated what I was doing, of course, I was constantly looking for ways to sneak things in. Of course. And that's where it comes full circle. If you hate
Mhm.
your plan, you will always try to find a way to escape it. Even though you're like, I do really want the end goal, it doesn't matter because we tend to think about the end goal. We don't think about the process we need to take in order to get there. And if you hate that process, you will always try to escape it. If your process feels like punishment, you are always going to be looking for relief. So the issue is not actually your willpower. The issue is that you're trying to build a life around something that like you don't even enjoy.
Mhm. And I think too, like we can enjoy the process and then we stop enjoying the process,
Yeah.
right? Because a lot of the times, like you said, you kind of almost crave that extreme, that intensity, because there it does feel really empowering to be challenged and
Yeah.
be pushed, but then after a certain point that's not working for you anymore, and that's when
Yep.
it becomes really restrictive, right?
Yes. Oh yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, and I would say the big thing is I'd say the big thing is, first of all, we want to kind of like reestablish what our approach is, because if your approach to your goals is what can I get away with, you're honestly just never going to reach your goals.
Hmm.
Not because you're doing anything extreme, but because your energy is always pulling you away from that process. Think about that energy, right? The difference between asking yourself, what is it that I'm doing, versus what can I get away with? What can I half ass?
Yeah, because that mentality is creating mediocre results,
Yeah.
right? Because I don't know, you're kind of treating yourself mediocre, right? What can I get
Yep.
away with? Instead of what can I achieve? What can I do? What can I accomplish? You're asking yourself almost like a negative question. What can I get away with? What's good enough? Or what am I'm almost sneaking around doing.
Yeah, yeah. So if your approach to your goals is what can I get away with, you're never going to reach them. Because when you ask yourself that question of what can I get away with, whether it's the extra cookie, it's skipping your steps, it's, I'll eat more today and eat less tomorrow, or I'll go out for food one more time, you're not actually building momentum. You're constantly interrupting it. Instead of practicing commitment, you're actually practicing negotiation, and you cannot build consistency. Baby, you can't even build success, excuse me, on negotiation, because when we negotiate, every single decision all of a sudden feels optional. And when everything is optional, absolutely nothing is going to stick.
Mhm.
Right. And here's the crazy thing: changing this idea doesn't come from trying harder or being more strict. Changing this comes from changing your relationship with the process. Because when you love something, you don't look for ways to avoid it, right? You don't wake up and think, how can I get out of doing this today? So the goal is not to lose weight or to build muscle or to eat better. The goal is to actually build a process that you don't feel the need to escape from. And that's what we're going to help you guys do in the next couple steps.
So what would you recommend someone do if you're listening to this and you're like, that's me, what would be a
Mhm.
good first step for someone?
Yeah, I mean, I think first of all, it comes back to like revisiting why you are even doing what you're doing.
Yeah, I
Um,
would think if you've been following any sort of uh, person in sort of the fitness, health, wellness industry, you've probably heard the find your why term, right?
yeah, yeah,
Why are you wanting this? Why is this something that's important for you to achieve?
yep.
And like I use the why all the time. And I've had mediocre whys and I've had really huge deep whys, but I've had to dig deep into them when stuff like this creeps in for me. I still do. I reevaluate my whys all the time.
All the time. It's so important to be honest because it's okay for your why to also change. And I think sometimes we hold ourselves to this mentality of like, it can't, it's not allowed. I set a goal, it has to stick to that. And like, that's it. Revisiting our why, it really allows us to reflect on is this something that I do truly still care about, which is totally okay to ask yourself, right? There's no shame in deciding that a goal that you had is not for you anymore. So ask yourself honestly, do whatever it is your goal is right now, do you actually want this? Not the idea of it, not the I was saying to Nell before, like not the pressure of it, because sometimes again we carry that pressure,
Yeah,
but
from whether it's an external source or an internal source, we have a lot of pressure around our whys.
yeah, sometimes we think this is something I should want. Actually, I was talking to a girl in the gym the other day and she came up to me and said, sometimes I feel like I should want to lose weight, but then, and that will make me happier. But then I realize all the times I've actually felt happier and stronger and more confident has actually been when I've been just like stronger and eating well. And I'm like, listen, I get it. We are constantly bombarded by people looking their leanest or constantly like working on losing 15 pounds or even just getting stronger, building more muscle. You might be like, I don't even want any of those things. I just want to work out regularly. That's okay. What is it that you actually want? Not the pressure, not what you should want, what you actually want. Because if your why is weak, your commitment is always from the get go going to feel like it's conditional, so to
Mhm.
speak, using the air quotes there.
And I would encourage you to like write down your why
Yeah.
and and then crack that why open, because a lot of time the why is, well, I want to lose weight or I want to look a certain way. Why do you want to feel that, or why
Yeah.
is that where you're jumping off from? And break it apart, get deep with yourself, because a lot of the time the why that we think we have is up here, and if you're listening, I'm up in my eyes, and if you crack it open, the why is way down here and it's a lot different. And
Yeah.
that is really, really helpful because, like, I, when I started this process, I was, 30, late 20s, early 30s. And I'd been telling myself, well, I should probably lose weight for years. My clothes weren't comfortable, things like that. But I really did not care enough to put that effort in. And it wasn't until and this is going to sound silly, but my why, peak COVID,
I
um,
was.
when school was online, one of the assignments, I worked in a high school, was to find a fitness influencer and write a report about them because PE class kind of sucked then. And a
Mhm.
couple of the kids had dug up my social media platform, and I was like, oh, my why is not because I need to lose weight. My why is because there are people out there that are looking to me for information and for inspiration and to kind of like navigate their own eating and health behaviors.
Yeah.
That's a hugely powerful why compared to I should probably lose weight. And so it wasn't until that point where I was like, working out is important to me because I want to feel strong and I want to show teenagers that it is okay to eat and feel strong and feel your body. It was
Yep.
never about a number on a scale for me, but I kept
Yep.
saying, oh, I should probably lose weight.
That's beautiful, man. That's like great inspiration too. That's really really nice. Um, but yes, you guys, step one is finding your why. You're true to yourself why. Okay. Once you have it, you're like, I know this is what I want. Truly, this is what I want. Here's step two. You need to make your commitment very, very easy. Stupid easy. Keep it stupid simple is what we really like to say,
Yes,
right?
ma'am.
Because the big problem is like, and like, let me preface this to say I do this all the time, like, even with like the thinking about doing gluten free for a little bit, like I have to step back and ask myself, like, is this
Is it
actually
realistic?
possible? Yeah, is it realistic? um Most people set goals that are too big, at face value, 5 workouts a week, when you're not even doing one, perfect nutrition. All of a sudden they say to themselves, like, I have to be 100% dialed in all the time. Like, no bites of ice cream, forget even ice cream. People are just like, oh no, deli meat, all of a sudden, I can't eat that. I've got to
Yeah,
only.
or I'm going to wake up early and I'm going to meditate and I'm going to,
Yep.
make my bed and I'm going to do this and I'm going to go to the gym. How
Yep.
about we actually don't snooze our alarm?
Yep.
Just let that be the goal, right? Because we're biting off more than we can chew.
100%. No eating out. You go out once a week right now with especially if you're in a relationship, or even just like with your girlfriends. That's a huge aspect, right? There are definitely times to say no. You can go out and have a good experience and not eat. But like, let's say it is in a relationship, like that's very, very strong bonding for a lot of people.
Yeah.
So most people, yeah, they set goals that are too big. Then they keep wondering, or they keep looking, I guess we could say, for ways to get out of it, right? We want you guys to make your commitments so easy, it like actually feels ridiculous. I bring up this example all the time because it was literally the year that my New Year's goals sounded ridiculous. But my New Year's goal was when I realized I was eating too many peanut M&Ms all the time, my New Year's goal was not to stop eating peanut M&Ms. My New Year's goal was, can I eat them from this bowl instead of from the
Yes.
entire package? It is ridiculous. It sounds ridiculous. Everybody looked at me like, that's
I
your
wouldn't say
goal?
it doesn't sound
That's
ridiculous.
ridiculous.
It's certainly not glamorous.
Yeah, 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 for sure. It's not social media praiseworthy. But guess what? I actually was able to do it. And doing it for the first time made me feel like, wow,
I'm
I can
accomplishing
actually
this.
control this in my life. Yeah. So, some ideas of things that are like really ridiculous. What do you got? Put you on the
Oh,
spot.
well, so one that I do in line with food, because I think if you've been here a while, you guys know we are eaters. We will always be
Hell
eaters.
yeah, baby.
That's not going to change. It's in our title. We are well fed.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but I would back in the I want to say like late 90s, my mom would order from like an organic co-op, so she would buy cases of things. And
Oh, it's
Kettle
probably
chips
so cheap then
used
too
to
in the
make
90s.
taco chips. They were so good. She would buy cases of them. So I would make an entire bag of those chips into nachos multiple times a week. And I would still probably do that to this day, except that it's not in line with my goals. So
Yeah.
now, instead of making a full ass bag of nachos, I will use like a dessert plate and I'll still make my nachos. But again, a smaller, more manageable portion that gives me that clear, like, stop point, right?
Mhm.
We've talked about this before, is like there is something to be said for that, like, finality of like, this is an empty plate. Because I grew
Yep.
up in a finish your plate household. So for
Absolutely.
me, that
Yep.
was really helpful. Um, just making coffee at home was a big one for me. I
Yep.
was constantly picking up takeout coffee in the morning. Oh, it's just a coffee. Oh, it's just, a quick trip through the drive through. And then, there's a cake pop and a muffin and a bagel. And that coffee is not a black coffee. It's
Yeah.
400 calories. I was
Yep.
constantly making excuses for that to happen, leaning into the sabotage of that. I was rock solid with my food, but I was still probably ingesting, oh God, 1,400 calories a day from my coffee.
Yeah, yeah, bro. Oh my gosh. That's insane. I literally just put up a post yesterday about like coming out of a calorie deficit in order to stimulate your metabolism and diet breaks and things like that. And I had people in my comments being like, my calorie deficit is like 1,000. That's a topic for another day, or 1,200. But literally, some people, what they're eating all day, you had in
Yes.
your coffee. There are people that are probably enraged listening to
Yo,
this.
sometimes when I have people struggling with hitting their macros and things, that's the first thing
Yep.
I'll tell them is,
Yep.
because even when I would consider myself a professional in the industry and diligently tracking and stuff, I
Yep.
would have extra coffee with milk in it that wasn't tracked. I,
Yep.
I had tracked my coffee to a certain extent, but then I would have one more cup. And I would
Yeah.
logically like reason it because it's skim milk and it's just a
Yeah.
splash, right?
Yep.
But the reality is that's where I came from and where I am today. And now everything gets tracked. I had a decaf coffee once last week, right? Like
Yeah.
it's a,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
a different world I live in, but
Even it's funny because even, what you were just saying about having the one extra coffee, I was going to say that in and of itself is something people are always trying to like, oh, what can I get away with?
Yeah,
Forget about the like having 1400. Even if you drink your coffee black, you shouldn't have more caffeine. They're like, oh, I can justify it because I woke up 30 minutes earlier, or I'm going to be up later with the kids tonight. No.
yes,
So anyways, commit. You have a goal that you have decided this is what I really want. Step 2 is stupid simple commitments to yourself. Okay, maybe your commitment is actually cutting down the coffee to one a day. Maybe your commitment to yourself is literally one walk a day. Maybe it's just having one intentional meal. Maybe that's it. Maybe you're going to the gym for like excuse me, maybe you're going to go to the gym and you're like, I'm just going to do 2 exercises while I'm here. It doesn't matter what social media thinks. It doesn't matter what your best friend thinks, who's been working out for forever and goes 5 days a week. It doesn't matter what Susan at the water fountain says that she's doing. It's about what you're doing and how you're going to be able to show up for yourself. Because here's the thing, you guys, when something feels doable, you stop looking for ways to avoid it. You actually start doing it. And this is one of the best ways we build self-trust with ourselves and
it's true.
self-confidence. And we start to feel good. We're like, look at me eating my peanut M&Ms from a bowl. Like, it's insane how good this feels. And then that kind of leads into point 3. You're already feeling good. It becomes so much easier to be your own hype person.
It's true, right?
Yeah.
Just like negativity compounds, so does positivity. So do
Yes.
wins, right? We
Yep.
constantly compound our failures. Oh, I didn't do this, or I fell short in this. But why are we not compounding our successes, right?
Yep.
I did 2 exercises. I went around the block today. There's
Mhm.
a adorable older man who lives around the corner from me, and he walks to the corner of my house and he turns around to go home. And he has been doing that for months. And every couple of weeks, it gets a little bit further because that's exactly what he's doing.
That's
He
so
knows he
cute.
can't do a full block yet, but he is working his way towards it in these little, really doable ways.
It's
And I'm
yeah.
like, I open the door, I'm like, you're doing great. He probably hates me.
Yay! Yeah, that's awesome. But I love that. That's so cute. And to be honest, it's everything, right? Because you guys, you cannot hate your way to results. You cannot beat yourself up and still somehow expect to feel motivated.
Yeah,
So
because I've tried.
yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. Every single time that you follow through, no matter how small it is, I had one less cup of coffee today. I walked my 5,000 steps. I went to the gym and did 2 exercises. You acknowledge it, you celebrate it. You will build momentum through pride alone. You will build more momentum through pride and being your own hype person than you will from pressure
Yeah.
every single time. Because when you feel good
Because
about what you're doing, you stop trying to self-sabotage yourself.
yeah, and think about it. If someone says something to you, they pressure you, you want
Yeah,
to do the opposite,
100%.
right?
Always.
Or
Always.
you want to lean into the extreme.
Yep.
That's
Yep.
never ever helpful because it's taking us back to that place of what can I get away with,
Yep.
right? So celebrate those successes. Figure out your why, dig into it,
Yep.
make the goals from there stupid simple, and then celebrate the hell out of accomplishing those goals.
Honestly, because nobody looks for ways to ruin something that they're proud of. You don't. You
Absolutely.
don't like imagine making this like beautiful meal and then you're just like, and like dumped a bunch of trash on it, or
Yeah, like
like
think about when your kid draws a picture and
yeah,
you
yeah,
hype them up.
yes,
Is that the best art you've ever seen in your life? I won't
no,
make you answer this, but you make them feel like it is. Why are
yeah.
you not doing that with yourself?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And to be honest, actually using that example, you can tell the kids that grew up by doing something they were proud of and only ever got shit on for it. There's a
Yes.
very big difference in the way we hold ourselves as people. And if that was you, I'm sending major love your way because you already know what that feels like then. So why are we doing that to ourselves as adults? We don't.
And
We
it's a
don't do
skill
that.
you're going to have to work on because you didn't experience it from other sources. It's
Yep.
not easy, but you
No,
deserve that. You
100%.
deserve to feel proud and hear how proud you are of yourself.
Yep. Likewise, if you're in a relationship or you got friendships where people are only ever finding ways to correct you, baby, it is time to revisit all of those things.
Block,
um,
delete, cut.
yeah. Our secondary podcast on like relationship therapy coming soon. Strong, well fed, and leave that man behind.
Yeah. Leave your baggage.
Yeah, exactly. Um, That'd be a good name, actually, like bitches with baggage.
It's just us talking
Imagine.
about our lives.
Yeah, literally. Stay tuned. The last big thing, you guys, and we're kind of getting to this point as we're talking about, is flipping that script, right? Nobody ruins something that they're proud of. Hype yourself up. But I do want to say, we need to be able to flip the script in real time. Okay. It's great to sit here and everyone's pumped up and you're in your car and you're like, yeah, I got it. But like, you are still human. At the end of the day, you are going to have those moments where you're like, I could have this, or this won't matter, or I can get away with it. I still have them. Look,
Oh,
I'm like,
all
I'm
the time,
right. That's
constantly.
constantly, this is what
Even
we're,
with the podcast, we're like, oh, we'll just record 2 episodes next week. We do it all the
yes.
time in all
Yeah.
these little ways in our life, right?
Yeah. And it's amazing how these ways seem helpful, but they actually usually stress you out more. Um, but here's the thing, when these thoughts come up, I forget there's a term for this where you like are trying to better yourself at something, and then you recognize you're not doing it, and you feel bad for that, and then you feel bad for feeling bad. Yeah, there is literally like a psychological term for this, but I
Rusty
forget.
could have been a therapist in another life.
Yeah, honestly, I wonder that. Okay, side note, I'm watching a show called Shrinking right now. Have you heard
I'm
of it?
obsessed with that show. It's so
It's so
good.
good. Oh my gosh, but I'm so behind. I'm only, well, I think now I'm at the end of season one, but I love
Girl,
this
get
show.
on board. You gotta
Yeah,
go binge that. Well, we
it's,
upload those
it's a rain
videos.
day. As soon as I'm done, I'm not even supposed to be doing any work. I'm just going to binge all of it. It's so good. Did you ever watch Cougar Town back in the day?
Yes, I'm rewatching it right now.
Oh,
That's my
that's so
background
funny.
noise show.
That's so funny you say it, because obviously seeing the girl, I'm like, I haven't seen her
Yes.
from Cougar Town, and I've been thinking about rewatching it, but it gives me that energy so much.
Yeah.
Shrinking, I love it. Anyways, but yeah, it has me thinking. I'm like, I totally could have been a therapist. So, anyways, when you guys have these thoughts, right, where you have these moments where you're like, I could get away with this, I could have this, it won't matter. Do not, like, first of all, do not shame yourself for it. We're just gonna flip it around. Okay, stop and ask yourself, if there's something that you're like, I could have this, first of all, of course you can. You always can, but flip it around. Are you actually strong enough to not have this?
Mhm.
What would it look like? Can you follow through? Instead of saying to yourself, like, I can get away with this, what about flipping it around and saying, okay, but I could also follow through with this? Right? It's very easy to challenge ourselves in healthy ways,
Yeah,
especially if you're
how are you
competitive like
using
I
your
am.
autonomy? Because you have the autonomy, right? You can
Definitely.
pick and choose and decide, but are you using it to let yourself off the hook? Or are you using it to create a life that is everything you want it to be, to
Yeah.
challenge yourself, to grow and improve in any way you've set out for yourself?
Yeah. And see, even the energy of these questions we're telling you to ask yourself, am I strong enough to not have this? I can get away with this, sure, but I can also follow through with this. See that energy? It's not from punishment, it's from empowerment.
Mhm.
It's from actually like having a healthy competition with yourself and betting on yourself. Because as Nell said, like, it's not about restriction, it's about proving to yourself that you can do something and that you can also trust yourself.
Mhm. And when I really struggled to actually like form that thought or that conversation with myself, like how do I revamp it and make it be a positive? I
Yeah.
used to think like, what would I say to a really close friend of mine if they had brought this up?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because as a people pleaser, as an empath, it was very much like, I want these people to be successful. I want them to feel empowered. And I was great about doing that for others. So one thing that I would say is like, how would I say this to someone else?
Mhm.
And that's what I would use to kind of like understand how to say it to myself.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. That's really really good, because we are way, usually, hopefully, more
Yeah, like
gentle
unless
with
you're
other
not
people.
that person.
Yeah, yeah. So honestly, you guys, I think if you could take anything from this episode, let it be this. Sometimes it's not the nutrition. Sometimes it's not the macros or the workouts, right? Sometimes we're stuck because um, we're trying to get results from something that we're constantly trying to escape. So
Mhm.
instead of asking yourself, what can I get away with? Or when you notice yourself thinking those types of thoughts, start asking yourself, what would the version of me who actually follows through do right now? And then do that, even if it is the smallest thing, even if it's still imperfect, because this is where we stop negotiating and we start becoming somebody who actually gets the results that we want based off the goals we already decided actually matter to us.
Mhm. Because this
Yeah.
is where I almost always get in trouble as a coach when I start coaching someone new, or they've been coached in a certain way, is I'll give them a goal that's very much that, like drink your glass of water before your coffee,
Yep.
right? Or get up from your desk and then sit back down. Sometimes the goals are that small and they go, well, that's silly, right? We talk
Yeah.
about like how silly some of those shifts we've made have seemed. And that's the first time I get any like sort of kickback. They're like, I don't know if I can
Yeah.
trust this lady.
Yeah, yeah. Totally, totally, totally. So, guys, hopefully, I'm like, honestly, I'm really proud of us. Look at us doing this first thing in the, well, morning for me, but like off the cuff. That's what I
Yeah.
mean. Hopefully,
Which, by the way, this was sort of an off the cuff episode. Let me
yep.
know, or let us know, what you guys like hearing. Do you like
Yeah.
hearing more of this like dialogue? Do you like hearing more of the like dweeby sciencey stuff? Because God, do we like that too? You know,
Yes, yes, honestly.
because we're here for you guys. So what? Feel free to share feedback.
Yeah, honestly. And if you guys are like, this was awesome, please feel free to share this because again, there are so many people that are going through this. That's one thing you guys need to know. Whatever you feel you're struggling with, I guarantee you, you're not alone in it. And sometimes you'd be amazed at the conversations you'll even wind up having or the friendships you'll create by sharing something that somebody else hears and is like, wow, if they shared that, I'm not alone. Maybe they're going through it too. And it does always, always help us. So please consider sharing it. Both of our social media tags are below. And then likewise, if you guys are ready to level up and work with people that will help you literally through every step of the journey and also just give you a solid community as well, there's also a link in the show notes below that you can click. We'll hop on a call and chat about what that looks like. But that's it, y'all.
Have a beautiful day.
Yeah. And we'll see you guys next week.